Hello, fight fans, and welcome to the Combat Challenge podcast. My guest today is a featherweight MMA athlete with a professional record of 6 wins and only 2 defeats. He's also signed with Cagewarriors promotion, Mr. Cameron Party Hardy. Cam, thank you so much for joining us, brother.
How's it going, my mate? You all right?
Living the dream, living the dream. First thing I've got to ask you, Cam, is where did that fight name Party come from? If you can share it with myself and
So it was one of my amateur fights. There was a guy from the gym and he was making t-shirts up for walkout t-shirts, and he was like, "What's your fight name?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't really have one." Anyway, the t-shirts come back with Party Hardy on it, and I was just like, it just clicked mint because like I was always the one with like the tunes bouncing in the car, trying to play DJ in the gym. I enjoy my nights out outside of the MMA fighting, like my festivals, like all my music and stuff like that. So it suited perfectly. And now I like to think that I also like bring a party walking out to the cage, a party in the cage. So I think it suits quite well, to be honest.
And it rolls well off the tongue, you know, Party Hardy. So it just kind of
exactly, yeah. Yeah, it just fits nice, doesn't it? So I'm happy with it. Like I won't be changing that one.
About their mixed martial arts journey from a young age, what sort of sport and disciplines you got into that, and you ended up on this conveyor belt to where you are now. If you can share that with myself and the viewers.
So to be fair, I was one of them who always started off as a footballer. I always wanted to be a footballer when I growing up. I was absolute Rangers mad, going to all the Rangers games with my granddad and stuff. I had a Rangers. I think at one point I'd be wearing a Rangers top, a Rangers necklace, a Rangers earring, and a Rangers ring, all at one point. It was mad. But then I started Thai boxing at 11-year-old. That's when my dad first started sort of watching the UFC back in the Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz days. I remember that. So we started going Thai boxing, and then as I sort of got older, football was up here, and then sort of the martial arts went that way. And then by the time I was 17, 18, it just went boomf. But I'd done Thai boxing for, I think it was 2.5 years. Then I joined sort of more of a kickboxing style gym till I joined the Navy at 18. But just before I joined the Navy, about 6 months before, it turned into a 10th Planet gym. So I was doing jiu-jitsu maybe twice a week for maybe about 6 months. And then obviously when I joined the Navy, obviously a lot of that was put on hold. It was all to do with Navy training. I was done 7 months away and stuff like this. But in my phase 2, I managed to win a boxing tournament in an amateur boxing tournament in the Navy. And then on my first ship, it was my boss. He was he knew I was sort of into it all, and out we had a bag on ship and stuff like that. And he was like, "Oh, I know someone who trains at an MMA gym," and it was just someone else in the Navy. So he took me to Gym 01 in Portsmouth, and first session in sparring, I was like, oh, and they had very, very well-known pro fighters at the time as well, obviously, who I didn't really know because I hadn't really been massive on the MMA scene. Used to just watch the UFC and stuff. And then I started properly loving it, but then I had to get sent back away for 7 months. Then I got shore-based, so then I managed to get even more. I think I had a couple of amateur fights then. And it was just on and off all the time till I left the Navy until the last 2 years of the Navy. I managed to get on the Navy boxing squad. And the lads on there were brilliant. I was just training twice a day with them, and then I was doing my MMA on a night. And then that's where I managed to have, I think it was 7 of my pro fights. It was, it went just constantly being on and off, and then I had a good strong 2 years at it. So it was, it's a bit of a mad one,
And the Navy, do they encourage sports? It sounds like they encourage you along the way, right?
You have to be good, to be fair. I was quite fortunate because I was my boxing was nowhere near the standard of the boxers that were on the team. I mean, you've got some lads who were on GB winning titles, stuff like that. But because I got on dead well with them, I ended up actually helping the development with the coaching side, going as a cornerman and stuff like that. So I was blessed to sort of get on there and get in the training with them. And like you say, all them brought me on. My boxing went miles. Lads helping me with diet tips and stuff like that. And it just went from there really once I got onto the boxing squad.
And you mentioned Thai boxing, kickboxing. and then you mentioned MMA. Which gyms were there and who were teaching at the time?
So I started off at Hanuman with Craig Willis, fantastic Thai coach in Darlington. That's basically, he put the fundamentals straight in me, and it was good fundamentals as well, because I'm still like my teeps and stuff like I'm still using like his techniques to this day. And then it's Luke Randall and James Cockle at Evolution Martial Arts. They just took me another level, like adding the hands into it. And then Luke with the 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, who's absolutely smashing it as a 10th Planet black belt now. And James has just got like something like his 6th dan in kickboxing. So there's a lot of knowledge and stuff there who just give me the good base ground. Between them two gyms, I got a very good base in myself before then actually heading into MMA properly. Then, like you say, the Navy boxing team, you had like Ben Pringle, Paul Ormiston. They like sharpened my hands. They didn't really want to do too much with me, because obviously I'm not a boxer, I'm MMA, and they're not MMA coaches. But what they done for me, you could see a massive difference from start to end. And then of course, Brian Adams at Gym 01, who just put me through all my fights and give me that good all-round MMA knowledge.
During your Navy career, how long were you in the Navy, and at what point did you decide to leave and take on this goal that you're trying to achieve through MMA?
So I was in the Navy for 6 years. I'd done like 7 months away. I'd done 6 months in the Falklands, and then I'd done another 3 months in the Falklands as well. So it was a nightmare, especially for MMA, especially for like the likes of jiu-jitsu and stuff. You miss little bits out, and it's just skill fade massive. So it was a bit of a nightmare. And then I left in June 2019, and it wasn't like as easy as what I thought. What I thought I was just going to come home, get a good job, and then carry on training. And it wasn't like that at all, because I only done logistics in the Navy. It's not like the only work that I could come out and get was like warehouse work and stuff like that. And it wasn't me. Do you know what? Like, I wasn't happy. And for me, it's all about being happy. So I ended up doing rope access, which I absolutely loved. I was working away all the time, so I wasn't getting any MMA in at all. The only time I was actually doing something was hitting a bag in a normal gym, looking like a right dickhead. And then that's when my mate come at me with a sponsorship, and then that all just went from there, so I could leave work and stuff.
And how important is it at this stage in your career, Cam, to have that financial support and take away the burden which takes up all of your day working, so that you can invest time in sharpening your tools and achieving the goals that you want to achieve?
It's massive. I wouldn't be doing what I am now if it wasn't for the sponsors. Like you say, my mate at the luxury bed company, he's got a massive company, he's smashing it, and it's good to see. And he was just like, look, I'm in a position to sponsor you here. You need to just go out and get it now. So he basically just put up my toes, and was just like, right, here you go, let's fucking go. And so he was like, right, are you ready to leave work? And it was just like, it was all quite quick, to be fair. At this point as well, I was working 12-hour shifts. I'd been like 20 odd 12-hour shifts on the bounce or something like that. And it was a bit surreal, to be fair. And he was just like, look, I'm going to do this for you. And within a couple of weeks, because I didn't want to just leave work, I didn't want to leave them in the shit. Within a couple of weeks, I was just back training full time. Put a post out on Facebook, and then the local companies just got in touch. Got straight up scaffolding, auto skins, JW driveways, McNulty and Sons roofing, and they just absolutely smashed it for us. So I'm over the moon with it, to be fair.
You're very lucky and in a fortunate position, Cam, that you've got friends and businesses around that want to invest the time in you, right?
Yeah, like it's like, I can't thank them enough. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously to them, because they've all got like really well businesses, they might not even see the £200 as a lot, but for me it's massive. And then I've just got like another one, Ultra Recovery. They're like providing me with massage guns, and they're doing like a monthly fee and stuff like that as well. So it's massive. Do you know what I mean? Like they are looking after you, and they're basically doing it for their own good. I don't even think they're doing it as so much for me to help them. They just want to help you. It works in my favor, I think, because Darlington only being a small sort of town, there's I don't even think there's another professional MMA fighter in Darlington. Obviously, you've got Davey and Bishop, but in Darlow, I think I'm the only one. So it's good that they just want to provide and help support and help me achieve my dreams.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you are fortunate, Cam, because there's people who are struggling who might have the skills but won't have the time to kind of really get the best out of those skills. Whereas for you, you're fortunate in a position where people invest in you, and also they might not get as much of a financial reward from that, like you said, or as much exposure. But it's great that there's people in this day and age around that want to help, right?
Especially with what's going on at the minute as well. Like I could fully understand if every single one of them turned around tomorrow and said, look, I can't, you can't not, like, for what they're doing during a global pandemic is just, it's just mad. Like you say, the only way I reckon I'd be able to fight them is by getting a world title, get them to the UFC. And to be fair, it gives me more of a drive as well, because I can almost live with letting myself down, but I can't go and let another 7 or 8 people down who are trying to support me. Do you know what I mean? So it just gives you that little extra push as well. Like you say, I do realize how fortunate I am, because there's a lot of people out there who, like, I'm quite young at 26 as well, but then there's people like even at my age with kids and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And they've got to put them first. So I'm in a very fortunate position, and I do realize how fortunate I am, and that does give me a more of a kick up the arse to go and get it.
One of the things, Cam, I talk about is the last fight athletes have had before they come on the podcast. And the last one that you had was on Made for the Cage 29 against Harry Hardwick. Can you tell me how that fight came about? Also, what did you know about Harry, and talk us through the fight?
So I think I had a fight on Made for the Cage against Bailey Gilbert, and he fought Luke Ord. And it could have went either way, his fight. And then I think Luke couldn't fight for the belt, so that put me and him in next for the belt. And I had a fight 5 weeks prior to that. Then I had Harry, but like that's how I like to stay active. I think I had 5 fights in 1 year. It was because if you're fit and healthy, go for it. Do you know what I mean? I knew that. Like I knew he was. Like he's not bothered. He was just game to put it on. He'll jump in there with anyone. Do you know what I mean? And I knew that he was going to sort of like try and drag me to the ground and put me out that way. Prior to that fight, I didn't have no sparring or grappling, but I definitely wouldn't blame that for the loss 100%. It's a funny story actually. I had that fight in Birmingham, finished the guy in the first round, so we went out and celebrated in Birmingham. Still woke up drunk in the morning, slipped in the shower and hit my head off the toilet. I got 10 stitches down my forehead, right down my forehead there, big massive lump. So I couldn't do no sparring or grappling. It was an absolute nightmare. But like I say, because I was fortunate because I'd been that active, no sparring or no grappling didn't bother me. If anything, could probably stop me from getting other niggles. And I went in there because I think I'd won 6 on the bounce. I lost my first fight and then won 6 on the bounce. So I was coming in there probably a bit too confident, to be fair. And I'm not going to lie, I probably underestimated Harry. Definitely underestimated him. And he just come out. I thought he was going to have a bit more of a play on the feet. He didn't. He just kept driving me to that cage, taking me down. Now I was getting up, taking me down. And it was just a real tiring fight. You could see even by the end of round 2 that we're both absolutely knackered. And he just caught me in a nice choke as I went in for a takedown, and he got the finish. I think it was with like 5 seconds left to go. But fair play to him. He's gone on to Bellator, and he's doing well in Bellator. So I'm glad for him.
He's a good lad. Last week I interviewed Harry and his brother George. They're a special sort of character, aren't they, both of them?
Yeah, they're both cracking lads, aren't they? They're mad, aren't they, the pair of them? Yeah. Some of the stories and stuff crack me up.
You mentioned that Harry and George have both been fortunate enough to go into a big promotion like Bellator. Yourself, you know, the great news is that you've signed a 5-fight deal with Cagewarriors promotion, which is unreal. Can you tell us, how did that come to fruition?
Yeah, I'm buzzing with that. So obviously, I'm training with Davey now. Like I say, I was in Portsmouth. When I did come home after I left the Navy, I was training with Davey. But like I say, because I was working away, sometimes I'd maybe get like a week in, 2 weeks in. I'd only be back for a weekend. So then I'd go and help with shows if I could. It was a nightmare. And then obviously when I mentioned to Davey about this full-time sponsorship thing, he was over the moon and he was straight on it. He's basically acted like a manager, and he was looking for me to get a fight, messaging different people. And Ian Dean had been one of the people that he messaged. And then Ian Dean come back to him with this 5-fight deal. So like, I'm buzzing because it's not even like they've just offered me a fight on Cagewarriors, which I'd have been buzzing enough with. They've just shot a 5-fight deal straight at me, and then I was just like, I was in shock. I was over the moon, and especially the lengths that Cagewarriors going through during this pandemic to put shows on and stuff. You can't fault them at all, and it just goes to show how much of a good organisation it is. So I'm absolutely buzzing to be joining them.
And what's it going to feel like, brother, when you get there and you're in the changing rooms and you've got those yellow gloves out and you're coming out to that arena? Is it going to be a completely different buzz than what you're used to?
I think it is, just for the fact that it's going to be pretty much nearly 2 years since I fought as well. I mean, my first professional fight was on Bama. And that I was a bit like, even in the cage, I was a bit like a rabbit in the headlights. So I think I'm going to learn my mistake from that and just be sort of like still like game on, let's go, and try and not let the whole Cagewarriors thing like come like get to me, if you know what I mean. Like, instead of just being like, whoa, this is mint, I need to be like looking at my opponent like, right, I'm going to fucking kill you. Do you know what I mean? It needs to be that way. Because like you say, even like the yellow gloves, like it's a thing, isn't it? The yellow gloves are a thing. And I know like when you whack them yellow gloves on, it's going to be like, whoa, this is happening. But I know that I'm going to learn from my mistakes on that Bama show. I'm just going to be switched on the whole time.
All your fights, Cam, have all been at featherweight, all your professional fights. However, this contract has got you down as bantamweight. Can you talk us through the mindset behind that, why you chose to drop from featherweight to bantamweight?
Well, like a perfect example is that Bama fight at featherweight. I had to like salt bath, do all that kind of stuff. My diet was absolutely shocking. And you can even see from weighing photos to that fight to sort of my later professional fights, the difference in my body shape. As I started getting through my career and started like getting more knowledge on like S&C and diet and stuff like that, featherweight just become an absolute doddle. It got to the point where I didn't even have to salt bath for featherweight. I was just getting down there perfect. I think I had a fight at 140 pounds of a catchweight, and I come in at 139. So bantamweight with your pound allowance is 136, so it's only £3 more, and I made that easy as well. So I know, and that was like just my own nutrition too. So I know for a fine fact that bantamweight is where I should be at. And like I say, I feel, apart from Harry, who's naturally, I think he's sort of the same as me, who sits at feather. Everyone was just big. And then you look at like the top competition as well. Some featherweights are massive, man. Some featherweights are huge, and it's going to play a massive part in your fight. So I think I should I know I will get down to bantamweight comfortably, and I should be the bigger end of the bantamweight as well, and just have that little extra advantage when it comes to the fight.
No, it's good as that. It's good to have that mindset as well, Cam, and thinking, okay, how can I bring the best possible Cam, over those next 5 fights, so I can think about my weight and the discipline and everything, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I was knocking lads out at featherweight, so if I can carry that power down to bantamweight, I'm going to be laughing.
Along your martial arts journey, Cam, you would have come across a lot of mentors and coaches, and some you've mentioned. Can you tell me if there's any that have played a significant part on that journey, and what role did they play?
You know what it is? Like they've all played the part, because I've sort of went from different disciplines as well, haven't I? It's not like I've just went MMA. So like Craig with the Thai boxing, he's like cemented that sort of Thai style into his like I'm known for like quite well for my kicks and stuff like that. James and Luke, they like brought on like my kickboxing. They proper fundamental like my hands and stuff like that. Then Bry give me the whole round MMA, like how fast he brought me on in a short time was unbelievable. And then now you've got Davey, just like he's just giving me all these other little bits, and like it's perfect for me and Davey as well, because we're the same kind of fighter. So like everything, like it's nearly every day I'm like, yeah, that's mint. He's like showing me all these different things, and it's all like perfect to my game as well, because it's his game as well. So they all play. I couldn't pick anyone in particular. They've all played like a massive part in my career, and helped me get to where I am. And like, I can't thank them all enough.
Now, you mentioned Davey Grant, who's a UFC athlete. I had him on a couple of weeks ago on the podcast, and he went to Fight Island and he fought Martin Day, and I think he ended up winning by knockout. He had some adversity through the fights, but also, Brother Cam, you was with him in his corner, weren't you? How was the experience of going to Fight Island? Talk to us about that.
Like that was another like a rabbit in the headlights. Like, I think even for Davey, obviously he's fought in UFC before, and like even he was like buzzing with the experience. So you can imagine how me and Luke felt. Like, we're on like sort of like a private jet flying out there. On the way back, we got business class. I felt like a king. And then we're out there, and I think there was only us and a couple of other people. Like, we were going down the beach because everyone had to adjust to their time. But because Davey was the first fight, we sort of could have got up a little bit earlier in the day, whereas everyone else was getting up a little bit later on in the afternoon and stuff. So sort of missed that experience. So by Davey being on first, worked perfect in our advantages because we could get down the beaches and stuff like that. One day we done like 5-minute interval sprints, 5-minute interval sprints in 43-degree heat. We didn't speak to each other for about 30 minutes after it. We couldn't breathe. Honestly, it was brutal. Davey was like, I've done it again. What have I done here? Honestly, we could barely see. Like, you couldn't get away. You couldn't get away from the heat. The sea was like a bath. The showers on the beach were red hot. It was, but like you say, it was just some experience just chilling on the beach. And I don't know if it maybe's even helped with Davey, you know, just sort of taking your mind off the fight and stuff like that, and then just enjoying the whole experience and stuff. But then obviously we had to accustom to when he was fighting, so we were staying late up on a night and getting a training session in at the time he was fighting and stuff like that. And then when it come to the actual fight, it was like, obviously we're all game on, ready to go, doing all of our bits, getting ready. But walking out, I'm shitting myself. I'm thinking, like, I haven't even cornered like lads at like my level, never mind UFC. I've cornered like amateurs and then been like a second cornerman for like lads at my level. But being like head cornerman for UFC, I was like, shit. I was like, what if I say something wrong? What if the commentators slate me? What if this? What if that? But then once it got in there, it was sound. Well, he got his jaw broken. Then I was like, fuck. I was like, what is going on here? But like I say, he done amazing. Luke, who was with us, we ended up being a good little team actually. And now I tell everyone I'm an unbeaten UFC conman.
And you know, when he broke his jaw, did you know, Cam, straight away that he had done? And you know how?
No, because like you say, he recovered that well. Like, he went down and he just started tying the guy up straight away and working stuff. So I don't think it looked as bad as what it was to everyone else. But then he come back to the corner and you could see like he was a bit like, not startled, but he was just like, he was just thinking about his jaw. Now that he told us after, he was just thinking about his jaw. And all he could think about was trying to put his teeth together and stuff. So like, I'm trying to like give him sort of advice in the corner, and you could see he was just like tunnel vision, just thinking about his jaw. But he said, he was like, my jaw's broken. Like, inside, I was like, oh. But like, I was just like, no, you'll be okay. You'll be sound. He's like, yeah, I'm sound. And then went out and absolutely smashed it. I think he dropped him in the second round, then knocked him out in the third.
There's a clip where when he finishes the fight, he catches a glimpse of Dana White. So he goes up to him and says, Dana, I broke my jaw in the first round. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where's me 50 G's?
Yeah.
And he got it, didn't he? He got the bonus.
Yeah. Fair play to Dana. Like I say, like that's he likes stuff like that, doesn't he? Do you know what I mean? Plus, if I got my jaw broken, knocked someone out, I'd be shouting and screaming it about as well. Yeah. So I don't blame him for doing that. And it's like all the adrenaline going through and everything, isn't it? Dana ended up actually posting it on his Instagram, didn't he? He posted the video on his Instagram. A great little video, like, it's mint.
It's perfect, man. And did he then have to get his jaw seen back in the UK, or did he have to have some work done down there?
Yeah, so I went to the hospital with him, and we were like, I think he was a bit like, because obviously he's finished the fight, so he just wanted to get back to his wife and kids. That's all he was bothered about, just getting back to his wife and kids. And we went to the hospital, and we were like, they didn't know if we were going to have to stay over there. And then it was like quarantining in hotel rooms and all that kind of stuff. and we were in the hospital for a few hours. And he was like, oh, I need something for my jaw. His jaw was out here like this. And they were like, oh, you can wait till you get back to the UK. So we were absolutely buzzing. We just had to quarantine for the night in a hotel room. And then we got the flight back, and he got it all sorted when he got back home.
What an experience that must have been, Cam, right?
Yeah. Honestly, like, I can't thank him enough for even taking us. Do you know what I mean? It was just unbelievable. Like you say, not many people are going to be able to experience that. So it's something that'll live with me forever. Like I say, even for myself, going to the UFC and seeing what it's all like and being under them headlights sort of in a different way, that pushed me even more as well to go and get it. So that was a big kick up the ass for me as well.
What does an average day of training look like for Cam Paddy Hardy?
So to be fair, with diet, I always especially through the week, I sort of just like to keep on top of my diet. I'm not one of these where if I'm not fighting, I absolutely balloon up, especially not with the opportunity that I've been given now, where I can train full time. I definitely think you should take advantage of that and do keep on top of your health and stuff. Don't get me wrong, I love biscuits with my cups of tea. Absolutely love a bicky and a cup of tea. And then on a weekend, especially like if I'm not fighting, I'll maybe get a takeaway or some, because I think if you're too strict all the time, you get sick of it. You'll get absolutely sick of it, and you do need to enjoy yourself and stuff like that's like your little treats. Do you know what I mean? And like train hard, yeah, go and have a little treat. You need to enjoy yourself, otherwise you'll just sicken yourself and you'll be sick of it, and you'll feel like shit. Training twice a day, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. Especially Davey with his fight coming up and stuff now. We're focusing like loads on Davey at the minute and getting him ready for his fight. So like you say, like training even with someone who's in the UFC and stuff, it's mint. Do you know what I mean? Just seeing how hard he trains and stuff like that. And for me, it's been consistent. Obviously, I haven't been the most consistent person, but I have my reasons because of work mainly. I just be consistent because, like you say, it's 1% better every day. Just get yourself in, and when you're feeling shit, when you're feeling tired, sometimes you come back. They're the best sessions you've had. They are the best sessions. You finish and you just have a smile on your face, and you're like, you know what, I'm glad I've done that. So it's just constantly keeping on top of that. And then when it does come to getting into your fight camp, one, if you're on top of your diet and you're still training, it's not like a fresh beginning. You're basically straight in. You don't have too much weight to cut, stuff like that. Your fitness your diet should have a good baseline of fitness. You shouldn't be at the bottom, because it wants to be a fight camp. It doesn't want to be a fat camp. Do you know what I mean? Otherwise, you're not going to learn that way. You're just losing weight. So keeping on top of it out of camp's the best. And then diet when you're in camp is just, set like, maybe have like a little something like a little bar or something like that as a treat. But don't go mad on it, because one thing can lead to another. Come to a weekend, go on, I'll have a Chinese takeaway. Next thing you know, that leads to a bacon sandwich in the morning. Just be strict. It's what, 8 weeks for like say the average fight camp. It's only 8 weeks. Just be strict for 8 weeks, then you can go and enjoy your muffins after your fight and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I'm quite like, not strict, but like I'm quite on the ball with it, and I think it definitely helps. 100% helps.
Now, you've had quite a few professional fights, Cam. Out of all those fights, can you think of one that has been the most rewarding? It don't have to be one that you won. It could be some sort of adversity. And is there something that comes to mind that you could share with myself and the viewers?
You know what it is? I'd probably say it was that first professional fight, my Bama fight, which I lost. I got stopped in the second round. I only had 3 amateur fights. My coach knew I was flying to the Falklands. I think it was like 3 or 4 weeks later for a 6-month trip. And he basically just wanted to give me the opportunity of Bama and stuff like that. And the guy, he was a beast. Like, I think he went on to win. Like, I think he lost his first 2 by like split decision or something. And I think I caught him on his 5th professional fight, and I think he's like 10-2 or 12-2 now. Still hasn't lost or something. He was good, like, but the whole Bama thing, that straight away was like, look, this is what you can have. And fighting in front of like 4,000 people. The the whole walkout. I've got a big, massive camera and ID behind me as I walk out. I'm in Genton Arena in Birmingham. It was live streamed on Lad Bible. Like I say, I was like a rabbit in headlights as well. Like, I was like game coming down the walkout, and then I was just like in the cage, like look around at this thing, like this is fucking mint. This, do you know what I mean? Like, instead of being in the fight, and like I say, I got beat on that one and went to the Falcons for 6 months. So not only have I just got beat, I'm not and back in the gym learning from mistakes. I've got beat and I've just been sent to an absolute shithole for 6 months where I ended up being the fattest I've ever been, just due to being at sea, being too rough. So you can't even train and stuff like that. So that for me was probably the biggest fight, because it gave me the biggest kick up the ass when I came back. Like, it's like that saying, you win or you learn. So I think if I'd have maybe won that when the Falcons come back, I'd have been nowhere near as like pushy as what I was. And I come back at like 80 kilo, like I rarely get like near that. Come back 80 kilo and fought 6 weeks later at 66. And then I won 6 fights on the bounce after that fight. So I think for me, that fight was definitely the more memorable one for me, just because it gave me the biggest kick up the arse.
On this martial arts journey that you're on, you're at a good level now, and you're at a level where you're going to be competing on a prestigious show. What advice would you give to other athletes who are a little bit lower down on the conveyor belt as they're coming on, from your knowledge and experience that you can pass on to them? I
just say, like, just be consistent, stick at it. Like, look at me, like I ended up working away, and my mate gave me the opportunity, and you've just got to go out there and get it. I could have easily been like, nah, it's not for me no more. Stuff like that. Just while you're young, just go for it. Just go for it. Like you say, you never know what's around the corner. If you love it, just go for it and just constantly keep training. And like you say, it's like a hobby. It's health. It's everything. It's good for your mind. Just keep even if you don't want to compete, train. Just train, especially with what's going on at the minute. It's perfect for your mental health and stuff like that. Just train. And if you do want to compete, you've got to be all in or all out. There's no in between at all, because you'll just get beat and you're sicking yourself of it. Just be all in or all out and go for it.
Cam, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and experience with us, and I look forward to having you on the future podcast once you've competed on Cagewarriors.
Cheers, my mate. It's been an absolute pleasure to be speaking with you.
Thank you. Speak to you later, my friend. See you later.